On est là, 2001.
Hey, what is up guys, I'm KBHD here, and I was just checking the other day and it turns out I haven't done one of these in nearly a year. It was February of last year, so welcome to the sort of annually expected What's on My Phone video. Now fair warning to those of you who saw last year's video, a lot of the apps are going to look very similar to that, and a lot of the setup is also going to look pretty similar, mostly because I just kind of find what I like and I go all in with it. I keep it pretty clean and I don't keep that many extra apps. The Pixel XL is the primary phone, and there's actually an iPhone 7 Plus with a different SIM card in it as my secondary phone, but my main SIM and the phone number that most people still have is the one that's currently in the Pixel XL on AT&T. And it's, as you can see, pretty close to stock. It has a Google launcher on it, and basically I found that still, the more Google builds in features into their stock apps and their stock launcher, the less I have to add stuff with third-party apps. So like you can see, last year I had a widget up at the top for the weather and the temperature. This year it's built into the Google launcher in Android 7.0, so that's perfect. It just clicks right into the weather forecast. So first off, from my home screen, you can swipe over to the Google Now cards, which pretty consistently gives me things like weather, NBA standings, shipping notifications, and news, mostly about tech and which Clippers are the most recently injured. And this whole thing is pretty useful, but obviously in Android 7.0 there's the Assistant, and I actually use the Assistant more than the Google Now cards. But either way, they're both nice to have. And then you have the main home screen where I have all the most frequently used and most frequently opened apps. So you have Google Photos, obviously that's where it keeps all the photos from the camera and all screenshots and everything. You have Google Maps, and I actually like these most for the really useful desktop shortcuts just to straight navigate home or navigate to work, really useful. You have Soundcloud and Spotify. I use both of these for music, but I use Spotify easily the most often out of any of them. And Instagram, that's pretty obvious. YouTube Studio, still to monitor the comments and things like that. And then the Tesla app, which I did a whole video about already, so if you want to know exactly what that app does, you can check out the video, but it has a lot of controls of the car inside. And then Google Keep and Google Tasks for my own sanity. That's my organizational apps and to-do list. And MyFitnessPal, again, for the same stuff as last year, mostly to just count nutrition facts and keep track of that. Then down at the bottom in the dock, I guess you'd say, is again the most important apps. So it's the phone, the Messenger, it's Gmail for me, and then Phoenix, which in my opinion is still the best Twitter client for Android. I still use the stock Twitter app for notifications, but for everything else, I use Phoenix. And I also still keep a camera shortcut in my dock, even though you still have the double tap of the power button to get into the camera. I find that sometimes when I'm just on my home screen, I want to go to the camera, I'll just use that app for that. I know I don't need the shortcut, but hey, it's there. Now moving over to the second screen, I again have a nearly full screen Today calendar widget. I'm gonna try to link the major apps I talked about in the description, but this is one of my favorites because it just has a scrolling list of all the stuff in my Google Calendar. I can click in to visit any of the events and add stuff. And it's sort of transparent, and I can control all this so it works with pretty much any wallpaper. And then at the bottom in my apps, I have Dropbox, pretty similar, YouTube, Uber, and Google Drive, and the Google Play Store. And again, all these Google apps, since it's Android 7.0, they now have these long press shortcuts on the home screen. I don't really use these as much as I do for Google Maps, but again, this is stuff that I expect to see in more third-party apps in a little bit. So then moving over to the third screen, last but not least, it might actually be my most interesting home screen. It's just a little collection of apps that I use on a semi-daily basis. So Dark Sky is a weather app that actually started on iOS, but is now on Android. It's really good, actually shows you some minute-by-minute forecast stuff, a really good map. So Dark Sky is worth checking out. I have the Philips Hue app, which I have Philips Hue bulbs all over the studio now, so it helps to just be able to turn these on and off and mess with the color. And it actually works with Google Home, which just lets me literally talk to the bulb to tell it to change colors. Really useful stuff. There's the Yahoo Fantasy Sports app. Not killing it quite as much as I was last year in the basketball league, but it's still there. I also have the Nest app here, and this is new for me. I have a couple of Nest products now, two of the thermostats and the cameras. So this is the app you use to kind of monitor and control all of them. But yeah, that's the apps that I have on the couple of home screens. Everything else, like inside the app drawer, is my somewhat less used apps. You might see a couple in here that you recognize. The Before You Fly app is a brand new one I have, but pretty useful for knowing if you're good or bad to go ahead and fly a drone based on what's near you. I still have the My Sound app for my Jaybird X3s. I still have Screener for the beautiful screenshots you've seen. I still have Periscope. But yeah, overall, you can see it's pretty clean. I keep a lot of the apps the same over a long period of time because I get to know them really well and they work for what I do. And that is the way my home screen's set up. So either way, that's been it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of the setup and what's good with it. And I guess we'll look forward to the same thing in another year or so. Either way, talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.